Identity Card by Amjad Mumtaz. The villagers were as surprised as Akram Ali at how the doctor, an ordinary young man, had sent him to Karachi. The elderly people thought the Dr. Irfan must have done so as a reward for Akram Ali's services to him. Then, they thought that he rendered such services to every visitor at the three-room Neelam Rest House during the summer every year. His friends thought that Dr. Irfan was making fun of him. Some thought that Akram Ali might have rendered the guest another service besides meals. They did not say this openly, but they talked about it among themselves. 3 years had passed since Akram Ali's marriage to Zarina. He earned a livelihood for his wife and two children as a cook at the rest house during the summers. He had been making plans for several years to get a job in the Punjab in winter, but each year he was faced with some problem. When his father married him off saying that the new daughter-in-law would bring him good luck for a job, Akram Ali believed his father. Now, after the passage of 3 years, although they had not yet found any permanent employment, they had found two children. This winter his father died. His mother had already passed away. Thank God that his three sisters had their own homes. Upon the arrival of summer, people began to come to stay at the Neelam Rest House. Akram Ali requested each of them to help him find a job. Dr. Irfan was one of the visitors, but he was very different from the people in his group. He had a small black beard. His mustache was so thick that his upper lip remained hidden by it. He spoke less than the others. When Akram Ali requested Dr. Irfan, he said, I shall find a job for you in Karachi and will inform you. You keep yourself ready for it, don't worry. Akram spent several days listening to the counsel of his fellow villagers, collecting the address of acquaintances in Karachi, and hearing the news of the bad situation in Karachi. Look, Zarina, you needn't worry. A man has to leave his house for his livelihood. I will come back after every 3 months and will write you letters. Take care of Shahid and Zahid. God will set things right. Please stay in touch with the relatives. Sharing sorrows and joys is necessary. Zarina listened to Akram Ali silently. Zahid was asleep at her bosom, and the last piece of firewood was smouldering in the grate. Look, take care of yourself. There is a lot of rush of vehicles in cities, and I am afraid of them. Never sit on the roof of a vehicle, Zarina said in a terrified tone. Oh, my dear wife, I am not a child. I have been to Rawalpindi several times. I went to Lahore once. Do I not know how to walk on roads? Akram Ali said laughingly. In the morning, he took a last look at the village from the roof of his house, kissed the children, and left carrying a tin truck containing his belongings. When he reached the bus stop, he began to remember the past. He continued thinking about Zarina and the children. The journey till Muzaffarabad was spent in such thoughts. From there, he took a bus to Rawalpindi. It was evening when he arrived in Rawalpindi. According to the advice of some elderly people, he took a train from Rawalpindi late that night. Traveling by train was indeed a new experience for him. This journey was different from all the previous journeys. He felt as if the people sitting around in the second class were like him, searching for their own destinations. Each passenger's luggage lay in front of him. Several had bought water-filled coolers and food items with them. The noise of the children could be heard, along with the noise of the train. He felt good about all this. Even when he felt uneasy, sometimes he lost himself in dreams of the future. And when he awoke with a jerk, he at once checked his trunk, placed under the seat, and then began to dream once again. He knew that his worries would end after he reached Karachi, because Dr. Irfan had written that he would come to receive him at the railway station. On Dr. Irfan's instruction, Akram Ali had told him about his date of departure in a letter from the village, and as a precaution, had kept his Karachi address with him. When he began to feel tired, he suddenly thought about what would happen if he wasn't able to find Dr. Irfan's hospital. It was not easy to find a place to live in such a big city. He began to think, there must be some good people in these big cities. I shall get a place to live somewhere. I will find a place to live, in case I fail to find Dr. Irfan. After all, his fellow villagers living here were earning their livelihoods. Some of them would surely help him. The dry wood in the stove of hopes began to catch fire, and he began to see Zarina, with both their children sitting in front of her, blowing the stove, her face reddening. She was making dough balls of maize flour and was cooking the bread on the pan. He arrived in Karachi thinking these thoughts. The cool light of the morning had enveloped the city. He heard the same sounds at Karachi railway station that he had heard at Rawalpindi and Lahore stations. He went to a hotel in front of the station, carrying his trunk. Putting it down, he sat there to drink tea. When the boy brought the tea, Akram Ali put the paper which had the address of Dr. Irfan's hospital on it in front of him because he had not found Dr. Irfan at the station. The boy reassured him and after receiving the money for the tea, sat Akram Ali in a minibus number 22. When the bus stopped in front of the hospital, Akram Ali quickly got off the bus carrying his trunk and entered the hospital. In front of the door, behind a glass, a girl was talking to someone on a phone. The door had the word reception on it in red. A card hung on the left pocket of the girl's white coat. The card had her photograph and something in English written on it. As soon as she saw Akram Ali, she ended the phone call and said, "Where are you going, mister?" "Madam, I have to see Dr. Irfan. He had given me this address. He came to Neelam village last summer. He told me that he would give me employment at the hospital." Akram Ali said in one breath, "Please let me see him. This is my identity card." He held out his card while looking at hers. "It seems that you have arrived today," the girl said, while looking at him. "Yes, madam, but how did you know that?" Akram Ali became happy. "I just knew." The girl became silent. "It is evident from your face," she said after a while. "But madam, will you kindly arrange my meeting with him? He knows me very well." Akram said this very anxiously. "Brother, Dr. Irfan Majid has died." "What? What are you saying? He was quite young. He invited me to attend his wedding. It cannot be so. For God's sake, how did it happen?" "But it has happened. The day before yesterday, when Dr. Irfan was coming for his night duty, some unknown motorcyclist shot him dead and went away. There was a strike at the hospital yesterday." A veil of darkness fell in front of Akram Ali's eyes, and he felt very ill-fated. What kind of fate was this that his duty took the life of the pious and angel-natured Dr. Irfan? The flowers of the Dr. Irfan's garland were transferred to the tomb of his desires, and the joyous songs had been suppressed by the sound of the rains of Neelam. He felt as if it was raining heavily, and he could not leave his house owing to the thunder and lightning. The roof of despair was continuously dripping as he stood wiping his tears in the hospital. The girl said, "Brother, you can go to his house. I shall give you the address of his house." But Akram Ali had nothing to do with his house. Therefore, he dragged his feet and carrying his trunk went out onto the road. His was in a very strange state. Not only was the puzzle of Dr. Irfan's death incomprehensible to him, but he was also feeling an unfamiliar pain over the news. When he tried to get rid of that anguish, his uncertain future loomed in front of him like a mountain. While making his way through the crowd on the road, he was not only searching for his future, but for the hotel, among the thousands of shops owned by the village councillor's son. The councillor had given him the address of his son's hotel, Garib Nawaz Hotel, Saddar, Karachi, number 3. The sight of the rushing vehicles in front of him reminded him of what Zarina had said. Row after row of vehicles was visible as far as he could see as he was trying to cross the road and follow the traffic signals. Meanwhile, he suddenly caught sight of a board, Garib Nawaz Hotel. He stopped himself from shouting with joy. As he dashed forward, a minibus moving at great speed hit him and his tin truck fell far from him. He lay, drenched in blood, on the road. His skull had been split into many pieces. In no time, people gathered around the dead body and a crowd advanced towards the minibus. The driver tried to drive the minibus away through the crowd, but the people caught the driver and set the bus on fire. The owner of the Garib Nawaz hotel also came out, and the process of identifying the body began. Someone took the blood smeared national identity card out of Akram Ali's shirt and told the owner of Garib Nawaz hotel, "He belongs to your village." The body was sent for an autopsy, and dozens of his fellow villagers working in Karachi gathered. The villagers thought that based on the new law, Akram Ali's family would get a large amount of money as compensation. An FIR was issued against the driver. All the people hoped that the case would be decided in favor of Akram Ali's family and that they would be given a lot of money. Some villagers took the body back to the village, while others in Karachi began to wait for the decision of the case. In a short period of 10 days, the court gathered all the evidence with the help of the police and completed its proceedings. The only document submitted to the court was the identity card. Information was sent to the village that an heir must be present at the sessions court on 8 November so that he might collect the money from the after the case was decided. The new law had become so well known that the villagers began to think that the money would be a source of comfort for Akram Ali's widow and children. On the day of the court's decision, all the villagers living in Karachi presented themselves at the courtroom. Akram Ali's brother-in-law had also arrived from the village and was among those present. Among the arrival of the judge, silence prevailed. Then the voice of the judge echoed in the room. After evaluating all the details and evidence of the case, the court has studied the autopsy report in light of the opinion of the medical experts. Unfortunately, the face of the murdered man was so badly damaged in the accident that there was great difficulty in identifying the dead body. Apart from the statements recorded by the people of the village, the other thing which can play an important role in this case is the identity card of the murdered. It is a pity to say at this point that the identity card of the murdered was a fake one because it does not bear the stamp of the district registrar. It is probable that a political candidate had provided him with this identity card during the recent elections. Therefore, it is impossible to prove, without any legal documentation, that he belonged to this country. Hence, the heirs of the murdered cannot be given any compensation by the driver. However, legal proceedings can be instituted against the minibus driver for driving carelessly. And with this, the proceedings of the court are concluded.